Let's start with the fact that I am from a small town. The town where I actually lived is nothing special. My mom kind of hinted that I just needed to go get a job because I needed to pay for university. My buddy got a job at a bar. He told me how to make a mojito, B52. I got interested. And I thought, why not? I got a job at a bar too. I actually found the job listing in the newspaper, and they hired me. I got a job as a bartender, but I was really not a great bartender because I was that shy. It was really hard for me to communicate with unfamiliar people. I was afraid of everything. I even picked up a bottle with both hands so I wouldn't break it. I mean, you get it. I was really carrying it with both hands and all that. At the same time, I was balancing it with university. I realized that, I wanted to work more as a bartender. I didn't care about university and taking more shifts at the bar and learning. And most importantly, the bartenders taught me to do a few cool moves. I mean, literally a few tosses, some simple tricks, and so on. So, I learned all of that at my first bar. They just showed me how to do it. Some balancing tricks, some simple. First of all, I really liked the job of being a bartender in itself. I had never done anything like this before. I just fell in love with it. I tried to work as much as possible, stay after my shifts, do those reports, and come in early. I was always hanging around the bar, and at the same time, I just totally fell in love with Flair. It was insane. I was constantly interested. But the problem was that in the place where I was working at the time, I couldn't learn more. So, in order for me to learn, I needed to travel to another city. And I thought, man, if that's the case, I just dropped out of university, quit all my jobs in the city, saved up a bit of money, and moved to another city. At that time, I was 19 years old. I didn't know much about life. I thought, well, now I'm going to conquer another city. Everything will work out. I was already a pretty good bartender with about 7 months of experience. I thought, well, everything will be okay. I spent half of my money on a Flair bartending course. The funny thing is, I wanted to take the whole bartender course, but I only had enough for the Flair bartending course. By the way, this determined my fate. I didn't become a great bartender. I became a great Flair bartender simply because I ran out of money, and I spent half of my money on housing and food. That is, for the first month. That's it. I started to gradually settle into the city, found some kind of job, but it wasn't great, really. I had a job, I worked a lot. It was tough, really tough. At the same time, I tried to practice, and also tried to establish some communication, but as you remember, I was a shy person, so it didn't go very well. So, little by little I saved up money to continue my Flair training for the second course, but I missed half of it. And because I was working a lot, the bartending school told me, "That's it, dude. Your time is up." And you know what that helped me with. After that, I just didn't remember what we did. I mean, I was taking the course and I had no idea what we were doing. The only thing I learned to do was, I understood some grips, some throws, some juggling. I mean, I learned to do some basic moves, but I didn't have any routines or anything. I didn't remember anything. And then came the most magical moment of my career. I was recovering all my knowledge through videos. At that time, my instructor was the 2008 Russian champion, Slava Gazukin. He showed me the program he was training for the championship, and I just practiced my tricks based on his championship videos. You understand, right? I didn't remember what I needed to do. I took Slava's tricks that he did for the Russian championship and just trained them. That's how it was. But over time, I realized why I would train his tricks when I could, in principle, train any tricks at all. I learned to pick up movements from videos, and that way I became a cool guy, So, this is a skill that you can acquire yourself if you just work hard on this. Meaning if you can pick out some movements from videos, you can choose which movements you like. This is a very important thing that can help you. So keep in mind that it's a must-have. So, I moved to another city, and I had already learned to do some small tricks with Flair. I had trained for a decent amount of time, and for my first competition, I went on stage for the first time, and you know what? I fell in love with it. I had never performed with Flair before, at least not seriously, just tossing things around behind the bar for 2 to 3 minutes. And then I went out to a real competition in my city. It was something incredible. I mean, for 7 minutes, I was doing some tricks on stage, juggling 3 to 4 bottles. It was something incredible. I was so amazed. but I got inspired and kept doing Flair. I trained for the entire next year, and my first success came in 2011 when I won my first little championship, a small local competition. It inspired me so much that I continued doing it. After that, in 2012, I started working with a bartending school. A new bartending school opened in my city, and I asked, why not let me teach? I learned a lot when I worked with other people, because I was looking for solutions on how to explain certain tricks, how to do it this way or that way. You can achieve results in different ways, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. And I was looking for the shortest paths. I had a month-long course, and I needed to make that month as effective as possible. I gained a lot of experience. That year I started performing a lot on stage, at various events and corporate gatherings. And I started earning a lot more money. Multiplied my income by about 3 times. I started earning, instead of $1,000, $3,000 at that time. It was just super cool. I was blown away. It was a huge success. I realized that I was doing everything right. It was right that I was training a lot in Flair. Thanks to Flair, I multiplied my income. I worked in a bar. I worked at a bartending school. I worked at event functions, and I did bartending shows. Well, everything just fell into place then. The next year, I won my first serious championship. We worked in tandem with a guy. We did shows, but when we found out that there would be a cool championship in Moscow, we went there. We went to put on a great performance. And we managed to win the World Championship. Can you believe it? The World Championship? After 4 years of practicing Flair, to win the World Championship. This is insane. So I really practiced Flair a lot. I trained twice a day. I tried to dedicate all my free time to it. I was doing Flair 24/7. Like, I would ride the subway thinking about different moves. I worked with students. I planned out some things. Trained for tandems. Trained for solo performances. Worked at events. Worked behind the bar. And everything revolved around Flair. I was completely immersed in Flair. I was just dissolving into it. And all the time I was doing Flair, filming some videos. After that championship, I realized I didn't have enough time anymore, and I decided that I needed to stop working behind the bar. After 5 years of working behind the bar and 4 years of practicing Flair, I stopped working behind the bar. So, you see, my income from other sources exceeded my income from the bar. So, I no longer needed to work behind the bar. It was just completely pointless. It happened naturally. So, if you want to stop working behind the bar, just try to bring your income from other sources to a roughly acceptable level, at least 50%. And then you won't be too bothered by the fact that you quit working at the bar. After that, I dove even deeper into Flair. I started training even more, since I had more free time. And I started going to international competitions. I was already seeing a really serious level, beating some well-known Flair bartenders. I saw them in person. I saw what they were doing, and in that way, I was inspired. I traveled to other countries. It changed my mindset. I felt completely that I wanted to become a world champion, specifically in solo Flair, and I wanted to develop in that. And I was just super obsessed. Everything was focused on achieving that result. And you know what I did. I realized that just training wasn't enough. I could train there for 6 to 8 hours a day, but it wouldn't give me the results I wanted. So, I worked with magicians, various manipulators, jugglers, and I took acting classes and dance lessons. I thought all of this combined would give me some extra results, and it did. I implemented some new solutions, meaning I innovated. In Flair bartending, I really came up with tricks that no one in the world had ever done before. And it was, on one hand, kind of on the surface, but on the other hand, something new, meaning I was developing the culture. And in this way, I started to see my first results in my solo competitions. Already in 2015 to 2016, I took first place in the qualifiers and third place in the finals at the Grand Slam WFA Championship, which is a black shaker. It's just mind-blowing. The best championships in the world at that time. At Roadhouse, I took third place, and I started winning some local competitions, but I also became one of the best bartenders in Russia. At the same time, I was running a video blog, meaning I had my own vlog where I showed how to train, develop my skills in editing, and filming, and again, I kept coming up with new ideas and was always looking for inspiration. And at the same time, I was starting different businesses. From 2015 to 2017, I developed my own business and designed my bar counters. I was developing social media, coming up with cocktail ideas, including photos, reports, videos, and all of that. And that helped me make some money as well. I tried to open my own bar. It wasn't super successful, but nonetheless, it gave me some really cool experience. So you understand that once you step onto, let's say, the path of self-employment rather than being hired, you start thinking on a different level. So you start thinking, okay, you have one business, but you can create another one. You can develop one or move on. You're thinking about completely different things. My next big success was a new partnership with my wife. She won the World Championship in 2018 and 2019. It was a super serious success because we worked as a boy-girl team. Tandems work like guy and guy. So you understand, female flaring and male flaring are completely different worlds. We managed to find some kind of symbiosis, taking the best from both male and female styles to create a great duo performance that was well appreciated at Roadhouse. And we were able to win the World Championship. So this is really a cool result. Also, very unusual, and in a way, it's a kind of innovation in flaring. So basically, if you take my entire career in flaring, specifically in sports, I would call it some kind of. To sum it up, it's innovation. Everything I came up with, everything that brought me results, was some kind of creativity, it was a solution, it was something new. So I wasn't exactly, technically as strong as some bartenders, but I was that creative. In my approach, so to speak, but there were so many innovations in it that it ultimately led to some really great results. After that, everything seemed fine, everything was going great. We were working abroad and bam, COVID, it was. Impossible to do anything, impossible to work. And we decided, well, since there's no work, let's make some videos. In the end, we participated in various TikTok challenges and different online bar contests and all that. And we even started winning some of them. We realized we were good at it. We were making some really awesome videos. During this time, I learned how to work with a camera and, basically, everything was going well little by little. But after COVID, we couldn't travel anywhere. In 2021, we decided that, since we couldn't travel around Europe and it was getting kind of boring in Russia too, we would set a new challenge for ourselves. And we went to America. So, first of all, there's the language barrier. And secondly, there are all the issues related to mentality, other working conditions, a different market, and completely different rules of operation. And we're still trying to work through it, striving to be successful and always conquering new challenges. It's quite difficult. Of course, it's easier to just stay in your own city where everyone knows you, where you have a job, where you have stability. But when you find yourself in new conditions, it kind of pushes you. It's an environment that forces you to move. Whether you want to or not, you have to do it. One way or another, you create such conditions for yourself. Who knows? Maybe it's a good thing, because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Here, I also won the National Flair Bartending Championship twice. And basically, Flair bartending is everywhere. You can do it anywhere. Right now, for example, my priorities have shifted towards teaching. I enjoy teaching people. I can do it with different people from different parts of the world, and it makes me feel more fulfilled. I mean, my whole life, my entire career has been about teaching. It really helped me, inspired me, supported me, and taught me as well. And basically, it brings me a lot of joy. And of course, at the same time, I'm working on other businesses, other projects. The secret to a successful career in the bar scene, or really in any field, is simply doing what you love. I was in it 24/7. That's the secret to success. In reality, it doesn't matter what you do. You can be a successful bartender. But of course, if you work in a restaurant, you need to understand where to go. If you become some kind of narrow specialist, for example, in something like I became specialized in Flair bartending, I achieved perfection in one thing, but at the same time, I used various skills. I was looking for solutions in the dance scene. I was also searching for solutions in juggling, looking for ways to work with other people in video. So Flair bartending is really something that attracts everything around it. So you can do anything, plus Flair bartending. Something cool will come out of it. But you don't have to do Flair bartending. Only a few % of bartenders do Flair bartending. 1% of bartenders might engage in Flair. So, you see, you can focus on very specialized mixology. Maybe you're doing some things, like programming for bartenders. There are so many different paths a bartender can take. You can create something for bartenders, move into bar management, produce ice, make some equipment, and manage people, create mixology, teach other bartenders, or explore many other options. You can find a lot of different niches where you can become the best. For the fact that there are simply no specialists like that, you can quickly raise your value in the eyes of others. That's it. It's important to find solutions that resonate with you personally. So it doesn't matter if you only focus on Flair bartending. I completely understand that some people are interested in Flair and some are not. But, for example, even if you're just working behind the bar, Flair can be a really cool tool to attract attention. Attention, in our time, is a very important tool, a very valuable resource. And if you know how to manage and create that resource, then, basically, you can do anything you want. You can earn tips, you can sell something extra, you can, for example, show a couple of tricks and then sell. For instance, your services at an event. You can use this resource to create videos and collaborate with brands through Flair, and so on. My main point is that you can become a very successful bartender, but the most important thing is to do what you love and decide what you will be one of the best at, and that will really help boost your career. There will definitely be some potential in that. You can become the best at something, and then around that skill, you can also create social media, think of ways to collaborate with brands, and how to sell that skill to someone else besides the bar. Work with bar networks. Work on training people in what you do. For example, travel and showcase, share, and so on. Just become the best at what you do, and then you'll have the potential and opportunities to do whatever you want.